Okay, pre-calc final exam review, part 8. This is the last and final one, and we will be done. Write the domain of the function in interval notation. So domain asks about which x values get used. And normally we would say the domain, I can plug in anything from negative infinity to infinity, except when two things happen. When I have a square root, whatever's underneath has to be greater than or equal to 0. Or if I have a fraction, I cannot divide by 0. That's undefined. If you put it in your calculator, it gives you an error. So, in this case, I do have a fraction. So anything that's on the bottom cannot equal 0. So x plus 2 times x minus 4 cannot equal 0. Well, if that was an equal sign, I could split them up and say either of them would be 0, because if x plus 2 is 0, it doesn't matter what the other one is, or vice versa. So I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to say x plus 2 cannot equal 0, and I'm going to say x minus 4 cannot equal 0. So if I subtract 2, x cannot be negative 2. If I add 4, x cannot be 4. So I'm still going from negative infinity to infinity, but I have to jump over these 2 points. So interval notation says you write it from negative infinity. My first bump or hole, think of Mario Brothers or whatever game you played when you were little where you have to jump over it or you'd fall in. The first one, if I'm traveling from the left, that I'd hit would be negative 2. And I keep going right on the other side of negative 2. Do I have any other lumps or bumps? Yep, at 4. And I keep going on the other side of 4. Are there any other ones I have to jump over? Nope, so I keep going over to infinity. So what this tells me is I can plug in any value from negative pi to negative 2, negative 2 to 4, and 4 to infinity, excuse me. I am moving on, so if you need to pause this, please do so. Oh, I didn't tell you this. Anything that I have crossed off we haven't learned yet, so don't worry about 52. 54. If f of x equals 3x plus 1 and g of x equals x squared minus 1, then find the value of f of g of 2. So what we're going to find first is g of 2, okay? So I'm going to find g of 2 first. That means I'm going to go to the g function, and wherever there's an x, I'm going to plug in a 2. So let's do that first. G of 2 is going to be 2 squared minus 1, which is 3, okay? It doesn't want me to write it. There we go. It's 3. So I'm going to replace g of 2 now with 3. So all I really have left to find now is f of 3. This time I'm going to plug 3 in the f function wherever there's an x. So this looks like 3 times 3 plus 1, which is 10. So just to recap, and I'm going to come back here and erase just so you can see. All I did was take 2, okay, hold on here. I took 2 and I plugged it into G. My output was 3, right? And I was left with f of 3, so now I'm going to plug 3 into the f function and I got out 10. 55 is going to be the same way. So it says find j of 3. So I'm going to plug 3 into the j function because that's the one next to it. So wherever there's an x, it becomes 3. So 2 to the third power is 8. So then I'm left with h of 8. I'm going to go to the h function, and wherever there's an x, I'm going to plug in 8. Remember, function notation, the number next to the letter in parentheses is saying that's what you have to put in. That's your input. So when I do this, I get 8 squared minus 5, which is 59. We did not learn 56 or 57. Don't worry about those. Again, on the final, just take a guess. Moving on to the next page. We didn't learn 57, 58, or 59, and I accidentally skipped number 41. So how do I convert 70 degrees to radians? Here's how. Let me see if I can move this up and have some room. I'm actually going to do it above it because that's just how it works out. Sorry about that. So, how do I convert this to radians? Well, whenever you're going to convert radians to degrees or degrees to radians, write down what you're going to convert, okay? Times and a fraction symbol. And you're always multiplying by pi and 180. You just have to figure out where they go. Oops. Now, it keeps wanting to do that. here's what I have to think of. I want to go to radians. Radians is the one with pi, so that's going to go up top. That means 180 goes on the bottom. Okay. You can either, there's lots of ways to do this. I just multiply straight across the top, so 70 pi over on the bottom, I'm left with 180. If you can reduce this on your own, go for it. If not, plug it in the calculator without pi. You'll be left with 7 pi over 18. That's it, and good luck. If you have any questions, shoot me a message on Schoology, and I'd be happy to answer them.